Through the glass canopy of the survey shuttle, Captain Lira Senko watched the planet loom like a bruised pearl. No lights, no atmosphere shimmer, only a sphere of inert rock orbiting a silent yellow star. Spectrometers insisted it was metal-rich, but the surface was oddly smooth, grooved with geometric channels that looked more intentional than erosive. "Scan anomaly confirmed," muttered Dr. Amiro Singh, hunched over the console. 7,000 kilometers of uniform tungsten carbide. That's not crust, that's cladding. Lyra's pulse quickened. "Set us down in one of those valleys." The shuttle's retros flared, and they dropped between titanic ridges that curved away like the petals of a stone flower. They found themselves inside an immense corridor, kilometers wide, roof open to space, walls lined with towering rails of silvered alloy. Amaro exhaled. "Gods! It's a barrel!" Lyra ran her gloved hand along the ridged floor. "A barrel big enough to fire asteroids." "It's a rail cannon!" Amaro's voice shook with awe. "Planet-sized. Whoever built this could lob moons from system to system." Lyra tapped her comm. "Pathfinder to command. We found something epochal." Static crackled. The nearest relay buoy was half a light hour away. She repeated the message. This time, Admiral Kiros herself answered, voice tight. "We copy. Secure the site." The Miervik Advance Fleet pierced the Perline barrier yesterday timetable, just collapsed. Expect contact in 10 days. The line died, leaving the explorers in the hush of vacuum. The implication was clear. If humanity could resurrect this cannon, it might stop the marauders that had already razed 3 colonies. If they failed, nothing in the Terran arsenal would stem the swarm. Amara opened a maintenance hatch the size of a cathedral door. Inside rose concentric rings of superconductors, each bigger than a city. Generators slumbered, their conduits clogged by eons of dust. Yet the systems were intact, dormant rather than dead. "I need a full engineering core," he said, voice quavering between terror and delight. "Power, control, AI, cooling arrays. If we bring it online, we'll wield enough kinetic energy to vaporize a fleet. But 10 days? I can't promise." Lyra clasped his shoulder. "You won't work alone." She didn't mention the deeper worry if the civilization that forged this weapon had vanished. Perhaps reactivating it carried a price no sensor could measure. Yet the shadow of the Murvek swarm pressed all hesitations flat. Admiral Yvonne Kairos arrived aboard the dreadnought Stormwaker, formation of cruisers and support tenders in her wake. As her flagship settled into orbit, work lights erupted across the planet's equator, outlining the colossal barrel like a cosmic fuse. Kairos convened her senior staff in the flag bridge, holo table showing 2 converging vectors. The Murvek Horde a scarlet wave of icons, and the tenuous Terran picket, lavender specks dwarfed by their enemy. "We've purchased 4 days by mining the Zealous Corridor," Kairos said, voice coarse from sleepless shifts. "That is all we can bleed from them. Dr. Singh's status?" Amaro's avatar flickered above the table, grease smudging his forehead. "We can charge 1 shot in 3 days if we cannibalize every reactor core and supercapacitor in the fleet. Cooling coils are brittle. They'll hold for a single discharge, maybe 2. After that, the rails will sag." "Accuracy? Better pray they come in a straight line." Kiros glanced at Lyra. "We'll need a kill corridor." She tapped the hologram, stretching a translucent sheath 30,000 kilometers along the barrel's axis. "Lure them here. 1 shot, point blank." The brass murmured objections. Orbital mechanics, enemy scouting drones, the chance the ancient gun might backfire. Kiros silenced them with a raised palm. "If we meet the swarm in open space, we die. Here, we might make history." The planet, dubbed Goliath, became a frenzy of welding arcs and plasma torches. Crews carved tunnels through the cladding to expose forgotten coolant seas. West reservoirs of liquid helium still miraculously trapped beneath sealant membranes. Lyra descended with a team to the central command sphere, buried 300 kilometers below the surface. The lift cage passed strata of alien glyphs and bronze statues frozen in vacuum. In the core, they found a crystalline lattice pulsating faintly. like a heart refusing to surrender. Organic quantum hybrid processor, Amaro whispered, millions of years old and still dreaming. Lines of alien code flowed across his visor as he patched in a linguistic AI. The symbols translated into a single repeating phrase. Seek the star thief. Fire frowned. Star thieves? The Marvek? Unknown. Amaro hesitated. But the system's waiting for a command key. What happens if we just tell it fire? He shook his head. Without the key, safeties stay locked. We need to convince it we're errors, not intruders. Otherwise the gun might refuse, or worse, turn on us. Trouble multiplied. When fleet engineers tried to swap fusion cores into the rail capacitors, circuit diagnostics rejected the power signature, demanding a muon lattice core humanity had never built. Time bled away while Amaro improvised adapters. Meanwhile, picket scouts reported the Mirvek vanguard only 60 hours distant. The aliens moved like a living nebula, ships fused together by bioengineered vines, drives spitting emerald plasma. And always, at the heart of each cluster, the Harvester Queens, kilometer-wide disks that drank stellar wind to birth more warriors. Kairos ordered her fleet into a shell around Goliath. The planet's gun might be dormant, but its sheer mass blocked half the sky, offering natural cover. She stationed carriers at perpendicular orbits, ready to spring drones into the swarm's path and herd them toward the kill corridor. Still, dread seeped through every bulkhead. Crews taped family pictures beside consoles. Last wills filed in encrypted folders. Dinner bells went unanswered in mess halls. The air tasted of recycled fear. 32 hours to contact. Lyra stumbled into the primary coolant hub, helmet carried under her arm. The air in the tunnels had grown breathable. After engineers resurrected scrubbers dormant since before humanity's sun was born. Amaro was on a gantry overlooking a lake of shimmering helium. Cables, thicker than tree trunks, snaked from the depths to the rail magnets above. His eyes were red. "Status?" she asked. "I got the xenolinguistic protocols to accept a sub-route access." He smiled without humor. "Had to fake ceremonial poetry. Seems the builders liked hymns." "You're kidding." "I sang it a lullaby through the comm line, fed it harmonic data. It thinks we're citizens, maybe?" His gaze drifted to the dark water. "But it still wants a safeguarding catalyst, a muon lattice. I can approximate one by collapsing deuterium inside a magnetic pinch sconce. After that, the pinch coils will slag." "So one shot, for certain?" "One shot," he confirmed. "And we have to be in the command sphere to authorize the firing solution. It won't accept remote." Lyra nodded. "I'll be on that trigger with you." 20 hours. The first Mirvek skirmishers pierced the outer sensor web, agile frigates exuding corrosive spores. Kiros deployed Corvette Wing Saber in response, their hulls coated with antifungal ablatives. Dogfights sparked bright among the planet's faint rings, tracer beams ricocheting off glacial debris. Saberwing bought 6 hours but lost half its pilots. Debris and corpses drifted into Goliath's gravity well, burning as streaks across the sky. The spectacle reminded everyone that soon it would be capital ships ablaze, not scouts. Kiros addressed the fleet. "We stand on the shoulders of ghosts," she said, voice transmitted to every bunk. "A forgotten people built us a blade. We must be its edge. Hold this line for our species, for those yet unborn who deserve to wake beneath a friendly sun." In the silence after her speech, maintenance chiefs reported a final anomaly. The main barrel's alignment struts had microfractured. One jolt from battle shock might misalign the shot by 15 degrees, enough to miss the swarm's nexus and strike open space. There were no spare struts, but there were still hull plates on the human ships. Kiros ordered every vessel above destroyer class to sacrifice exterior armor. The plates were welded into reinforcement ribs inside the barrel, while Marines floated in exosuits, rivet guns echoing like artillery across the vacuum. Contact. -4 hours. The horizon glittered with enemy dry plumes, thousands of green comets pouring in. Goliath's defense grid, reactivated by fleet engineers, flared to life, automated coil guns along the planet's surface spitting tungsten slugs the size of buses. Swarm outriders splashed against the curtain of fire, leaving clouds of molten gore. Harriers Cathexis and Dawnchild launched drone swarms that weaved between alien fighters, streaming EMP pulses. For every enemy crippled, 3 surged forward. Inside the command sphere, Lyra and Amaro strapped into thrones whose armrests bristled with umbilicals. The alien core bloomed to incandescent blue as power fed in from every reactor within light seconds. Text sculpted itself across the air. Safagard Patrol? Amaro's voice trembled. Arm. Confirmed. Target requested? Lyra projected a tactical hologram. The swarm's bulk. Its queens clustered near the edge of the kill corridor. 3 human cruisers had feigned retreat to lure them closer. The core whispered, "Vectors locked. Request catalyst." Amaro swallowed. Initiating muon lattice. In orbit, the battle reached knife range. Mervek boarding tendrils lashed across vacuum, puncturing Terran hulls to inject acid drones. The cruiser Vela split in 2, reactors venting white fire. But the sacrifice worked. The queen cluster veered, hungry for more prey, and lined up with the barrel's mouth. Stormwaker fired its main broadside past the muzzle, tracer beams sketching a line, the cannons targeting AI, greedily captured as optical guidance. X. Catalyst chamber. A fist-sized sphere hung between magnetic coils. Deuterium gas collapsed into a silvery fog as the field intensified, compressing matter to a lattice of muon-bound nuclei. The sphere glowed like a captive star. "Hold it," Amaro muttered. "Stabilize spin." His console flashed, amber field integrity dropping. Outside, a Mervek frigate shot through the defensive cordon and plummeted toward the planet. It struck the cladding near the reinforcement ribs, detonating in a blossom of emerald. Shock waves rippled through the superstructure. Alarms howled, barrel alignment drift. 12 degrees! Lyra cursed. They were seconds from firing. She opened a channel. "Kairos, we lost alignment." The Admiral's breathing rasped across the comm. "We're out of ships to spare." Lyra looked at Amro. "Can the barrel resector electronically?" He checked. "If we spin the planet." "Excuse me?" "There are attitude thrusters along the equator, used to fine aim the cannon. We fire them all full burn. We can nudge the axis back, but only if the rail shot itself supplies counter-torque. Then line it up." Lyra keyed the thrusters. Outside, gargantuan nuzzles that had slept for eons spat arcs of ionized xenon, twisting the planet fractionally. Barrel drift, 9 degrees, 7, 4. The muon lattice trembled on the edge of collapse. Amaro slammed the final command. "Authorization accepted. Prepare for discharge." Kiros watched from Stormwaker as the barrel's grooves erupted with white light. The rail magnets superconducted to near absolute zero, then surged with exajoules of current. Space itself seemed to bend inside the corridor. The Mirvac queens must have sensed the threat. Their flotilla tried to veer, but inertial mass betrayed them. A spear of nickel iron, 2 kilometers long and honed to a monomolecular point, exited the barrel at 12% of light speed. For an instant it was invisible, masked by Cherenkov glare. Then it punched through the queen cluster. The kinetic bloom outshone the system star. Shock waves vaporized swarm frigates 1,000 kilometers distant. Secondary debris scythed through the rest. A curtain of radioactive dust expanded like a new dawn. Aboard the command sphere, consoles blew out from power feedback. Lyra felt her bones rattle as the recoil rolled through Goliath's mantle, but the planet's counter-thrusters absorbed the torque, leaving the barrel miraculously intact. Silence, then cheers across every surviving Terran channel. Sensors confirmed. 70% of the Horde annihilated in a single stroke, the remainder scattered, cohesion broken. Yet the celebration died when Amaro's screen flickered crimson. The core displayed a final line. One depth fulfilled. Nemesis. Route unlocked. What does that mean? Lyra asked. Amaro's face was pale. The cannon's charging again, on its own. Kiros cut in, voice pitched low. We don't have power reserves for a second shot. It's not using ours, Amaro breathed. It's drawing from geothermal taps deeper than the core. The builders left a failsafe. We opened it. Lyra eyed the readouts. Target coordinates scrolling. An outbound vector past the escaping Mirvek fragments, toward empty space. No, she whispered, not empty. Something else. The fragmented swarm still mustered thousands of hulls, but now they fled, as if a louder predator had growled. Long-range scopes picked up a void silhouette beyond the system's heliopause. Mast estimate off the scales. No drive signature, more absence than object. Kiros demanded options. Could they abort? Amaro shook his head. The AI's control surface had sealed. To interfere now might overload the mantle taps and shatter the planet. Minutes ticked. The barrel recooled, rails humming like cathedral organs. Lyra stood before the crystalline heart. Who are the star thieves? She asked the dreaming machine. It answered with a memory. A holographic panorama of galaxies dying, stars wrenched from orbits, devoured by dark engines. And across that ruin, a sigil matching the silhouette beyond the heliopause. The builders of Goliath had fought, not the Mirvek, but that cosmic reaper. They lost, leaving behind a gun mighty enough to punch at creation itself, and a warning that someday someone else would have to finish the war. The targeting solution locked. The rail whined, at pitch too low for human ears, but felt in marrow. With a thunder that toppled mountains, the second slug leapt to superluminal cusp, tearing a blue rift across the night. Sensors died, blinded by gravitational lensing. Then a tremor space itself rippled, as if exhaling relief. The far shadow vanished, along with a swath of microwave background radiation. Goliath's systems powered down, satisfied. Epilogue. Days later, service crafts stitched up wounded hulls, while medics counted heroes and dead. The surviving Mirvek scattered into the void, no longer an existential threat. Stormwaker's bridge viewports framed Goliath, now crated and cracked but stable. Admiral Kiros convened Lyra and Amaro. The scientist's hand still shook. The cannon fused itself after the second discharge. It'll never fire again without complete rebuild. Good, Kiros said. No one should wield that lightly. Lyra gazed at the silent planet, questions gnawing. Did we save the galaxy? Or just announce ourselves to worse things? Amaro shrugged, exhausted. We answered a call older than our species. Now the universe knows we're no longer children. Cairo straightened her uniform. Then we prepare. Archive every byte of data, train new engineers, forge alliances. Because if a relic this powerful was merely one outpost in an ancient war, there will be others, some sleeping, some waiting, all judging whether we are custodians or star thieves. The three stood together, small against a canvas of scorched constellations, while the ghostly planet turned beneath them. Monument, warning, and promise, spinning in the quiet after a storm that was only the first rumble of a larger cosmic wave.